Come out of the world, oh my people, seek the truth.
Hello everybody, I wanted to make a video today about something that's quite disturbing to me, and I see this happening more and more, and nobody's talking about it, so I must speak about this. So, I've always had a heart, or early in my ministry, I've had a heart to teach about modesty, because the devil knows so many different ways to get to people and make people give into their temptation, so to say. And immodesty is one of the major areas that I think is not looked at enough, but needs to be. And it's one thing if people of the world dress immodest, they could claim they don't know better, they don't know the Torah, they don't know the principles of the Rahadak Kodesh and everything that goes along with that. But when you are in ministry, you're held to a higher standard, or at least you're supposed to be. And not just that, even if you claim to be a believer, you're supposed to be held to a standard of Scripture. Now, there's no defined mark in Scripture that says a dress must be this length, or sleeves must be this length, or, cover your head this way. But Scripture speaks in words, but also without adding to Scripture, in principle, of what is the meaning of that? What is the principle of that? Do not cause people to lust. Do not cause people, be a stumbling block for people, and so on. And there are certain articles of clothing that people can wear that can do that. And the advertisers know this. So one, for example, would be high heels. High heels lift the backside. They stick the butt out. They make the woman's shape of her body more appealing to the natural instincts of the man. Showing flesh of any length, showing your flesh can be a stumbling block for people. Now, definitely showing, there's no standard of Scripture saying, well, you must not wear a dress above the knee. But we have to use sense if we're believers. The reason why I'm speaking about this today is I recently went to a congregation, and one of the music leaders was dressed immodestly. And every time I go to this congregation, she's dressed immodestly. High heels, short skirt, tank top, blouse or dress, and just tight clothing. It's just immodest. And it's just a sad thing, because when you think about why do the people in the congregation or assemblies or churches dress immodestly, and then you see these Christian music artists on TV and also on the internet and also everywhere, and they're dressed just as immodest, or if not as immodest, just as the world. And these are supposed to be the role models and the examples. And to see these people up there, it's one thing, okay, maybe they're new to the faith, maybe they don't know about this, but you shouldn't be in leadership, number one, if that's the case. And if you are, somebody else in leadership should step up and say, hey, maybe that's not right. But the problem is people don't consider or look at the modesty, the standards of modesty in today's age. They've accepted as normal, and nothing is adopted into the church and into the assemblies more than anything before than the immodesty and the dress code of the world. And it's getting worse, not better. So there's another speaker, a preacher, who I really admire his messages, and I've learned a lot from him over the years. He's very well known, and he recently started a congregation, and he has over 500 people in the congregation. I haven't been there yet; it's in another state, but I went on the website to see what was going on, and again, one of the leaders, a woman, was dressed pretty immodest on his website. Even his wife was dressed, I would consider, immodest, just by wearing sleeveless shirts. And I don't think there's sleeveless shirts are not something leadership should be wearing. Fine, that's my opinion and so on. But even what's worse than sleeveless shirts are these shirts that they have a sleeve, but they have a hole here, and it shows their whole shoulders. It's like, what's the point of that? It's just a fashion thing, and it's immodest. The more skin and flesh you're revealing, the more immodest it is. Immodesty, at least from a physical standpoint, is clothes that reveal the shape of your body. So it doesn't matter how much of your skin is covered. If they're so tight they're revealing the shape of your body, that's one thing. And the other thing is how much flesh is literally showing. And when you're wearing sleeveless shirts, or shirts that hold in the shoulders, or half shirts that show your belly button, or shirts that's revealing your leg, this is creating a stumbling block for some people. And I do believe, according to the principles of Scripture, it's not modest. And I understand there's an underlining cause or reason for this. You know, some women will say they feel they have to compete with the world because there's so many women in the world that are dressed that way, and they don't want their husband or their boyfriend's eyes to look over there, so they're going to wear those different things. We're not to come down to the standards of the world to try to combat the standards of the world. We're supposed to, you know, through intercessory prayer and through setting the right example and through letting your inner character be more lovable than your outer appearance. But this isn't happening. And just recently, I got on the internet today, and I saw another brother who I respect, and I like his message, and no two people are going to agree 100% on everything. I get that, you know, and it's not. I'm not here to talk about a salvation issue. I'm not saying anyone's saved or not saved. That's not me to judge them. But I am talking about an issue of what ministry and leadership is supposed to be, and it's supposed to be to help others. Being transparent in our struggles, but at the same time, not lowering our standards to the standards of this world. We're supposed to be set apart, and that's in all things, in the way we act and the way we look. You know, if I'm walking around cursing and doing all these things, I would want somebody to come to me and tell me. So I'm just, you know, I think it's not necessarily shouldn't be my role, but in the scriptures, you know, there were no men that stepped up, right? In Judges, and a woman had to step up. It wasn't Yahweh's design for a woman to be in control and order like that, but no men were there. Well, it's the standard or the principle and the role of a husband to step up and to talk to a wife about wearing something, but they don't seem to be doing that. And I understand there's struggles in relationships and differences, and a wife might say, well, thanks for your opinion, but I'm going to wear what I want to wear. But that's one thing. But glorifying that is another thing. So we could, you know, if that's going to happen anyway, that's between the female and Yahweh, if she's not going to listen to the authority of the man. But still, man, don't glorify that. Don't glorify that. And so, yeah, so our brother today, you know, was glorifying, you know, how amazing and wonderful his wife was. And be it so, she can be amazing and wonderful. But it's not amazing and wonderful the way people are dressing out there today. And I think we need to step up. You know, I don't think there is room for patience and understanding and prayer. But when you're something physical, the enemy's going to put something physical in front of the eyes to tempt people. And I know without a doubt, you know, there are a lot of men out there that contact me through the ministry, and they have a weakness with the eyes and with seeing certain things. And yes, men need to do the work they need to do too, to pray and do their best to overcome something like that. But we're to help one another. And women could help men by covering up their skin and the shape of their bodies. Men could help women by, especially men in leadership, by speaking about this more. You know, I know it's not a popular subject and not everyone likes this, and I don't want to assume people are just looking for more followers and they don't want to offend people. I don't want to assume that. But we need to speak up about these topics that people are going to get offended about. You know, that people might even leave our assembly about, or people might not follow us because they don't like what we're saying. You know, let me put it this way. I was stricken with a disease when I was 19 years old, an intestinal disease, which prevents me from eating certain foods. If I eat certain foods that are unhealthy, I can get very sick. So it helps me from physically resisting or avoiding the temptation of that food. I'm not saying I don't like that food. I'm not saying it's not appealing to me. Pizza and ice cream and soda and these things. I mean, who doesn't like the taste of those things? They taste great. But how do they make us feel? How do they affect our overall physical health? And these are things that I consider. You know, I have work to do, and I want to get it done. I want to go out there and get the word out about Yahweh. I don't want to be stuck home sick in bed because I gave into my temptations, or visually the pizza looked good so I ate it or something. So it's the same thing physically, you know. I'm not saying it's not ugly or not appealing if a woman's dressed immodestly, but what I am saying is it's a temptation. It's something men need to find a way to resist. It's like the effect that could happen from focusing on that can be way more harmful. Can be way more harmful than if you just didn't focus on it at all or look at it all. Somebody told me once, the devil says the first look's always for free. And I'm not saying that men have to need to walk around with blinders on their eyes, but we have to we need to speak up. We need to speak up more. And it's not going to be popular all the time with society. It's not going to be popular with our congregations. And it might not even be popular with our own families and close friends when we speak up. But I'm thankful for times in my life when people spoke up. I'm trying to set an example of modesty for my daughters. I remember there was some people that came to my house a couple of times. They were dressed very immodest, and I had to speak up and tell them, hey, not only are you creating a stumbling block possibly for me and other people, but my daughters don't need to be seeing that. I'm certainly not going to praise you for dressing like that. And if you're struggling with that, I know other women you could speak to. But that is not proper attire for somebody who calls himself a follower of Yahweh. And we all have to make a decision to make with that. So, I'm not apologizing for offending people. Again, people's salvation, and that is up to Yeshua and them. That's not up to me. And I'm not talking about your salvation. I'm talking about the blessings and curses in our lives. I'm talking about helping each other as opposed to becoming a stumbling block. I'm talking about living according to the principles of Scripture. I'm not here to say about the adding to Scripture and you must wear this type of dress or this color or this. No. If somebody give me an excuse, well, there's nowhere really in Scripture that says exactly what we could wear and can't wear. No, but it's a principle. Do not reveal your nakedness. Do not reveal the shape of your body. Do not reveal your flesh. Yahweh took Adam and Eve when they were naked and he covered them. Not just with the fig leaves the bikinis made of fig leaves weren't good enough. He covered them with tunics. He covered their whole bodies with tunics. So we need to physically keep ourselves covered and also, understand these things. The shape of a woman's body that takes place when she puts on high heels. It's not for believers. It's not for believers. And in defense, some women say, oh, Paul Neeson said that women are going to hell if they wear high heels. Women are missing something if they're wearing high heels. And men are missing something if they're not speaking out about it. And we need to. We need to. And people say, well, stop focusing on the outer appearance or stop focusing on other people and worry about yourself. I don't believe that's a scriptural principle to worry about ourselves and not worry about other people or to think about other people. I think we need to help each other. And if I'm doing something that I shouldn't be doing, there are certainly people out there that will contact me and have contacted me. And I'm actually appreciative for it because, it helps. It helps when others speak up. So I'm not saying this in a negative way. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to be accusatory. I'm not trying to sadden people, or I'm not looking for people to get defensive. I'm just asking you, men, think leadership, think responsibility, think about covering, think about closing any window or door to the enemy that can open up and create a problem. And women, when you put on clothing, when you're buying clothing, we have to get out of this mindset which we grew up in when we were growing up about, hey, I could wear whatever's going to be appealing to most people as possible. Instead, we have to start thinking, hey, what's going to, help, me get this message out about Yahweh as much as possible. And without saying a word, in your appearance, you could say so much. So I pray this message is going to reach people out there, and some people are going to get it. And I really hope they're going to question what they're wearing, what they're doing, and speak up more about this topic because I think it needs to be spoken about. All right, everybody, put your comments and questions below. Have a blessed day. Yahweh be with you, and shalom, shalom.
Come out of the world, oh my people, seek the truth, avoid the evil, learn Yahweh's ways, Torah life ministries, come out of the world.